So, hello friends. Now she's upside down. And, well, maybe this work for just a little lamination. But, if you look in here, it's such a good working position compared to before. So here I can really do a good job. And that's kind of satisfying. So, to me, this is worth it, really. Well, there is one more thing. I forgot, but then remember, you should do a bit work on the leak. So here it is. Hopefully this will help a little bit. But tomorrow I'll turn the boat like 90 degrees, and then we have a better go at the leak from inside. This is from the outside. Hello friends, this is for these poor people that don't have the money to buy the book. So they shouldn't miss anything. So here is something. Well, after leaving Caos, came out in Biscaya, and then it will become. Finally, the sun came out, and for the first time in my life, I tried to find my position with the help of heavenly bodies. The boat was rolling, and new to the game, I had trouble shooting the sun. But that was nothing compared to the calculations. We had bought a copy of Reed's Nautical Almanac because it was cheap and because, as it says on the cover, it contained all the information needed for astronavigation. And it was true. In 1969, it was a mine of information. Besides list of lights, tide tables, and much more, it included inferries, a nautical almanac, a sight reduction table. The problem was that to get all that information into one book, the publisher had compressed it heavily. To unpack the information, I needed to do a lot of interpolation. The sight reduction tables use the old Versine functions, which are not inspection tables. So I had to calculate the sun's height and azimuth separately. Finally, after 8 hours of intense concentration, I had our position at the price of a headache, but with a sense of relief. We were 100 miles east of the Azores. I plotted a course for Madeira, and with all sails drawing, we sailed straight for it. After 2 days, we sighted the islands, but the wind died. There we lay becalmed for 3 days off the north coast, rolling in the reflecting swells with our sails madly flapping. Allan, being a more impatient character than me, swore at my idea of not having an engine. Finally, after 1,900 miles on the log and 18 days at sea, arrived at Funchal. The last few miles we were told by the pilots who had seen us laying becalmed on the lee of the island. When we arrived, there were 5 other yachts at anchor in the well-protected harbor. Most of our time we spent socializing with other yachties to get advice from these more experienced sailors. We took walks on the beautiful island where we could see bananas and oranges and other tropical fruits growing. We enjoyed ourselves and benefited from the results of our building endeavors during the past long winter. But after a week, we followed the other yachts to Las Palmas on Gran Canaria. We stayed quite a long time in Las Palmas. Yachts came and went. There were usually about 10 boats at the same time, anchored on the roadstead. We had to live on a small budget. But Gran Canaria exported bananas and tomatoes, which had to be shipped before they were ripe. Ripe ones were given away. So a lot of our calories came from ripe tomatoes and bananas. Occasionally, a chartered tourist would give us their excess meal tickets at the end of their stay. One day, a huge 75 Kemper and Nicholson ketch flying the Norwegian flag anchored up next to us. Not long after that, its young captain and owner rowed across to us. He told us that he had borrowed money and bought a boat in Italy. Now he was going to get rich chartering in the Caribbean. The boat was a bit run down, but with the help of paint, he was going to make her look great. He asked us to help him scrape and sand the 2 masts, plus give each of them 7 coats of varnish. Although we now had more than $10 between us, and I just had spent some of them on his Mecanico brand cigarettes, each day we laughed and were cheeky. We said we did not like to start work before 10 o'clock in the mornings. We wanted free meals and of course money. The skipper was in a hurry and quite desperate, so he accepted our conditions. We started right away. While we worked high up in the mast, we noted with amazement that the spreaders were painted on the visible underside, but not on the more exposed top side. Later, when we remarked about this to the owner, said, "What do you expect of Italians?" They knew the rich owner would never climb up the mast to inspect their back, so why bother? After a week or so, we began to feel at home on the big yacht. Consequently, in the evening, when we rowed back to our 40-foot schooner, we found her rather cramped. A year before, coming from 14-feet Anna, Duga had seemed huge. But now, in a few days, I had adapted to thinking that a 75-feet ketch was reasonable. This gave me food for thought. Naturally, I would never be able to pay people and give them free meals for painting my mast, and as for having paying guests in my boat, it was out of question. My boat was my home, not a hotel where I was the servant. I concluded that it was better to adapt to a small boat than to a big one. For some time, Alan and I had been disagreeing about our itinerary. When we planned the voyage, I had proposed that we should sail to the US which where Alan wanted to go. Now, after speaking with many yachtsmen, I changed my mind and wanted to sail to Rio de Janeiro. But Alan was keen as ever to sail to the US and get rich. One day, a small Swedish cargo boat anchored up on the roadstead. Its owners were on the way to Caribbean to make a fortune. It soon became evident that the two owners did not get along. Once things had calmed down, she was left with one owner. His problem was that he did not know how to navigate. His difficulty was solved by employing Alan to captain her. Together they would make a bit of money in the Caribbean. I would say duga to Rio, where Alan would join me later. So, to be continued.